cyber briefing for Monday, the 5th of August. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Firstly, I'd like to say thanks to Eliza May Austin for standing in for me in the last couple of weeks. Whilst having well, I am back. Not quite fighting fit, but doing all right. So yeah, thanks Eliza for that, and I'm sure you're very glad that it's not you anymore. It's back to me. Right, so let's get stuck in. Google has been gamed, apparently, into advertising a malicious version of Authenticator. So yeah, usual sort of stuff, except this one is quite good. It looks like, the advert looks like it is from Google. So it links to it looks like it links to an official website. If you check out the advertiser, it comes out as a verified advertiser. However, if you click on the particular advert, you're redirected a number of times, and then you land on chromeweb-authenticators.com, which is hosting a fake app for download. It's the fake app's hosted on GitHub as well, so it is not the easiest piece of malware to identify. So why am I bringing this to your attention? Well, I think it just illustrates quite well how careful you have to be when you're looking at downloading software. So we've always known that Google Ads have been difficult to secure. The argument is, the question is whether Google could or should do more in this space. I think there is an argument that says they could do better. Equally, given the amount of stuff that's being advertised through the likes of Chrome, it's a very difficult job that they've got. So my thoughts on this, my recommendation on this would be, don't trust adverts that you see in Chrome or on Google's search pages or whatever it may be. If you are interested in something that you see, go to the original website yourself rather than follow the links. Also, have a look and make sure that the links that if you are going to click on adverts, make sure that the link that you're going to matches the link that you think you're going to, according to the advert, and be suspicious if you find yourself being bounced around quite a lot via anything other than well-known tracking websites. If you find yourself in places that you don't recognize, there should be at least some kind of alarm bell going off when you end up at chromeweb-authenticators.com instead of google.com for the actual download. So yeah, keep an eye out. This stuff's getting more sophisticated, and the better people get at spotting it, the better the adversaries become at spoofing the real stuff. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one, but keep an eye out in general as well. And talking of things not being quite what you'd expect, there is an article in informationsecuritybuzz.com talking about a Chinese or allegedly Chinese-based APT known as Evasive Panda, amongst its other names, Storm Bamboo, Stormcloud, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, at some point mid last year, they compromised an ISP, internet service provider, currently unnamed ISP, but I'm sure this will come out as the story unfolds. and have been using the facilities of the ISP to push malicious software updates to specific targets. Um, the way that they've been doing this sort of stuff is via watering hole and supply chain attacks. They've been specifically, in this case, targeting Tibetan users. But they've also been targeting NGOs in mainland China. Now, okay, that may not affect many people listening to this briefing. However, it is worth being aware of the technique, having compromised the ISP. One of the tools that they were using was to poison DNS responses. So, and of course, with the poison DNS response, you can redirect. As soon as you control DNS, you can redirect people to wherever you want to redirect them. So, controlling DNS, I think, is a very good way of creating all sorts of chaos. And if you have managed to get hold of an ISP's DNS servers, you have, or the ability to not necessarily manipulate the servers themselves, but manipulate the service such that you are directing the ISP's customers to use DNS servers under your control, even if they're not the original ISP DNS servers. You don't have to compromise the server so much as compromise what's being given out. So most people, by default, just use whatever the DNS servers are that their ISP provides them. If you just take let's take a common example in the UK. If you get broadband from BT, by default it comes configured to issue BT's DNS servers via DHCP. So you ever wonder why, just like for full clarity, in case there are people listening that don't get this stuff, the reason that your devices connect up and work without you having to do things like set their IP address, set the default gateways, set the DNS servers, do a whole load of other stuff, is because that stuff is provided to your machine via DHCP. So when you turn your machine on, finds itself on a network, it sends out a broadcast saying, hey, is there anybody out there that can give me an IP address and a default gateway and some DNS servers and so on? And normally your router will come back saying, yep, I've got the defaults. And all this stuff has been pre-configured so that it just works. Now, that stuff comes from your ISP, so it is under the control of your ISP. So if that then is compromised in such a way that it gives out DNS servers for attacker-controlled DNS, then you do have a real problem. Firstly, everything you go to, of course, will be logged by your attacker. They know where you're going and what you're doing, what you're trying to do. And secondly, they can direct you to anywhere they like, which is a very useful technique for pointing you at lookalike sites and all sorts of other things. You may get browser warnings, you may not. Depends a bit on how your browser is set up and what the ISP has actually done. However, the point there then is you need to be cautious with this stuff. I don't rely on my ISP's DNS servers. I specifically choose DNS servers that I want to use. Historically, a lot of people have used Google's, mainly because 8.8.8.8 is an easy number to remember. Um, Cloudflare has got very fast and very secure DNS as well. If you want to use their DNS servers, they are publicly available, so you can check out the IP addresses on the internet. I think is it OpenDNS is another one run by. Um, it's an open source solution. Again, pretty reliable. May not be quite as fast, but it's pretty big. So there are lots of things you can do that don't rely on your ISP. However, this particular group targeting the ISP in order to take control of the DNS servers, amongst other things, and then redirect people to malicious sites for stuff like automated updates in the background. Very clever. Definitely worth having a look at. I would also say it is 100% worth logging DNS requests. So if you're running a corporate environment, don't configure your systems to allow people to use any old DNS servers themselves. Be prescriptive, bring them to something that you control and take logging from that, because at least then you're in control of where the upstream resolvers are, so you can ensure that at least to the best of your ability, ensure that the stuff isn't compromised locations, and then you also have that logging information, which is extremely useful if, for example, you do get a piece of new, as yet not detectable malware. It may well be doing DNS lookups in order to find its C2 servers, in which case it is relatively straightforward to write some rules in your SIEM which will identify odd-looking, newly created, blah 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 domain names, and also you can track, if you are good at this, you can track the responses and compare those against known malicious IP addresses using tools like DracoEye. There we go, a little plug for our own stuff. Anyway, so that's definitely something worth thinking about. A couple of other things just to finish off with. The European Union's AI law goes into effect on Thursday this week. So if you are a developer of AI solutions, do be aware that this system is out there. We've got a link to an article from Cybersecurity News, which kind of explains at least at a high level what this is all about. But it is aimed at controlling the risks associated with using AI. So divides AI systems into sort of high and low risk types of things. The high risk ones, now, I think most people would not disagree with this, but high risk AI systems, self-driving cars, medical equipment, automated autonomous loan decision-making systems, educational scoring, remote biometric identification, and so on and so forth. It does then put in place certain controls around what AI should be allowed to do in that space. It also defines and prohibits AI from certain unacceptable types of behavior, including things like social scoring systems. Predictive policing and emotional detection technology in workplace or schools. One would hope that nobody listening to this briefing is engaging in any of these prohibited activities. But if you are, be aware, there's now an EU-wide law that covers them. And then finally from me today, again, in the category of, are you seriously thinking this, this is going to be, really? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? No, sadly not. Deep learning combined with trace HDMI signals, can now be used to transcribe text from your screen with around 70% accuracy. The concepts of being able to grab stuff from screens has been around for a while, but this is combining deep learning AI type methodologies to effectively decoding what goes on HDMI. So HDMI, it uses the signals to your screen are encrypted. They're encrypted utilizing HDCP. Unfortunately, AI's algorithms have managed to find out whether they've. I think it's unlikely they've directly broken the encryption standard, but I think it's more likely that they've found sort of metadata ways around this sort of stuff. So if you are in the position where nation state or APT types might be listening into your signals from your HDMI cables, be aware they can now decode your text. Well, that's enough from me for today. I hope you have a good start to the week.